And started recording, and I guess we can just start the B-roll whenever we want.
We should really get an intro, but
yeah, we should.
It's B-roll time. We watch some horrible movies, B-roll time.
And if you do not listen, then the hell with you. Where are the two snakes racing each other?
keep
Hey
going.
everybody, welcome back to the B-roll. That was our stellar opening, as performed by Justin.
I'm not getting paid for this.
No one is.
Right.
So, but I mean,
Yeah,
you don't want to pigeonhole people. So welcome back or don't welcome back. It's your choice.
yeah. Welcome back to the B-roll. I am Vincel. There is Andrew. There is Justin.
Hey,
And with us today is Cody, who was on a previous episode of the B-roll back when we couldn't cuss. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we can totally cuss now, Cody.
It's
By
an
the way.
feel free to
exciting.
get it out.
Because, like, I said the Lord's name in vain on that one where I was in.
Yeah.
I felt really guilty about that.
Yeah. I don't know. Did that count? Can you do that?
Wait, what did you say?
I
Exactly.
said, oh, Jesus, when you guys were talking about the Revenant
Yeah.
and kind of describing the bear fight.
Right. Well, no.
No.
This is-
Probably not, but we also played a soundbite to taunt OU or taunt Texas right after Bevo died. So
There are no rules here.
It just got worse. The promos just got worse the longer we went.
Yeah.
So anyway, this week we are talking about the next two Conan movies, Conan the Destroyer.
So it's a double feature. It's Conan the Destroyer and then 2011's Conan the Barbarian.
The Barbarian.
So spoilers here. They're both pretty terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
I
say
mean-
the 2011 Conan Barbarian is mediocre. But yeah, Destroyer is just god-awful as shit.
The 2011 was just boring.
Yeah.
It was like, as somebody that grew up watching The Adventures of Hercules with Kevin Sorbo, like that's really what it felt like, is an hour long, or what it was, 2 hours long.
It was like 90 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
It felt longer.
It did.
I-
Well, I guess my thing with the 2011 Conan the Barbarian, I wasn't so, like, a lot of it seemed impressive enough, like a lot of the stuff they did. It was just like, it just kind of kept going on, and then
The fight scenes were really the most boring part,
right, and that
because they
kinda
just
sucked.
kind of kept, like, it was that weird thing in 2000 where it's like, we wrote like 60 pages of plot, and then, my Adderall ran out, so we're just gonna fill in the other 30 minutes in the movie with fight scenes.
with sand monsters, like never explained, never aforementioned that she's basically Rita from the Power Rangers and can summon putty.
And they're not even that impressive as sand monsters, right? You just you cut them with a sword and they go down.
Yeah, like, Conan kills elder gods pretty often. Like, murdering giant 20th level wizards are like the closest thing he has to a steady job. But, no, sand monsters, putties.
I mean, you could argue with the reboot that, like, it could be like a young Conan, but no, I agree, it was pretty lame.
Yeah.
Especially that fight. I think that fight specifically is when I lost interest in the film.
Yeah, it was one of those, definitely halfway through that scene, I looked down at my watch and I was like, is this still going on? My
Right.
God.
Which is sad because, so the stuff that I did about the 2011 that I felt like the early, at least Conan the Destroyer kind of lacked, was these amazing kind of background pieces.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
the sets in this movie.
So the sets, the map paintings, the fact that there's a ship being carried around that never
Yeah.
really gets explained, I don't think.
I mean, there's a lot of things in this movie that don't get explained, but
But it's kind of those cool details that
Mhm.
are really nice.
I thought the ship was cool. It had that how does everyone get surprise attacked by the dude who travels in a ship carried by elephants? Like, there's not just some peasant who's like, you guys wouldn't believe what I passed 20 miles down the road.
Right.
Well,
not
it's,
like
it's
particularly-
because someone carrying the boat died, and then they found the peasant that saw it before he could get away, and now he's carrying the boat.
Yeah, nobody
It's
actually
really, really
passes
fast,
the
guys.
boat.
It's a
just
really
every-
fast carry boat.
It's
they
like
they work those whips.
a bajillion elephant power. You know, like horsepower that ain't shit. It's this elephant power.
It's a V6, 800 elephant power.
It's the
So-
Hummer of the ancient universe, like the ancient
Yeah.
world.
But I honestly, I kind of hated Conan the Destroyer more.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I was
I mean,
apathetic
like Conan
towards.
the Barbarian at least has like Jason Momoa, like being really cool as Conan.
I was kind of apathetic towards the 2011. I actively disliked Conan the Destroyer
Yeah.
because it's the most like in the books or even in the comics, like Conan doesn't have time for anybody.
Yeah.
But yet, like, his primary motivation is to get his girlfriend back, which is the plot line for like every video game in the 80s.
Yeah. I was kind of taken back. Like I know, I texted you before I was about to watch the movie. Like, this movie's rated PG.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I was super surprised by that.
because
First
there were
red
no
flag
titties,
there.
right,
Yeah.
in the whole film.
No titties, no.
Yeah, that's
There was a little bit of blood, but it was like
could
really
have gotten a
cartoony.
PG-13 if there
Yeah.
were boobs. I mean, this is in the 80s, so
Yeah, that's true.
I think the best line that someone's ever said about that movie, to sum it up for me, was when the princess or whoever is presenting the crown that summons the big evil god,
Yeah.
and it's got all those little like crappy rhinestones on it. And my girlfriend announces in this little kid voice, like, "I hope you guys like those little bejazzled things because I put it all over them." Pretty much the whole movie. Just
yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that the Destroyer had much, much smaller production values. Like, compared to Conan the Barbarian, this is kind of a backlot porno.
and
Wait,
a
wait,
weird,
wait. Are we
and a-
talking about comparing the 80s one?
Oh, the 80s one, yeah, it's...
Because I think Conan the Destroyer had a way bigger budget than Conan the Barbarian.
And
Just
What the
because
fuck did they do with it?
they had
Yeah.
animations. Don't you remember the rapey wizard? Like, that
Oh,
flew
yeah.
out as the weird pterodactyl?
Right.
That's what they spent all their money on. And what's sad is, like... I'm sorry, go ahead, Justin.
I was gonna say, and their semi all-star cast of athletes who can't act.
Right.
Yeah, I saw the Warrior Woman. She was actually a Bond villain, or he was a Bond henchman in this one movie. Christopher Walken was the villain in it. It was pretty interesting. She was actually a lot better in that movie than she was in this one, but she's really not that great in that one.
The bandit lady with the stick.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
She's actually a singer, if I recall.
really.
Really?
And
Yeah.
the sad thing is I think Conan the Destroyer starts off really strong. Like, they're surrounded by these dudes, and then, like, he has lines. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger has lines, and they're pretty funny when they're talking about robbing that merchant,
Yeah.
like not robbing him fast enough, or not having enough time to, like,
To take all
rob
the shit.
everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
that opening scene
With
actually.
his relationship
Oh,
with
there
the
you go.
thief, yeah. Which, I don't know, like, I think, like, a barbarian thief relationship, just speaking, like, in D&D terms, that's actually pretty funny and, like, a good way to do it.
There's your chaotic alignment people. Like,
Yeah.
in the party.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was kind of like how much this felt like a D&D adventure as opposed to even the original.
Oh,
was
yeah. This
pretty
one
evident.
feels...
I remember Cody and I watched this. Cody had rented this like really cheap animated version of a Dragonlance story that had like Kiefer Sutherland as the evil wizard guy,
What?
which was basically the only reason we watched it.
Yeah.
And it was just it was like that. It was just like everyone, the fighter, rogue, wizard, acrobat, thief, getting together and having a grand old adventure, and one of them is also Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But
Nice.
yeah, like it felt a lot. It really felt like just kind of what I guess what it's kind of what just the most generic D&D adventure you can think of. Just like they pulled a module off the shelf and were just like, all right, we're doing this. Here's the plot.
There's a wizard.
There's a wizard. He's rapey. Go kill him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think if they
I still don't understand what that wizard's purpose was.
Yeah, what the fuck was he doing? He was just there, and then they killed him.
Yeah, like, I mean, he captured the princess
Sort of.
for, I'm sure, like, gross, weird, isolated wizard reasons.
Lizard man. Lizard man reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Cody?
Oh, just expanding on the D&D thing. It's really not so much just like a random piece. So it's like every module from the 80s just like put in a blender and made as bland as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm a much better DM than that movie.
Well, you also have to realize that at this point, Hollywood has had, so this is 1980s, they've been making swords and sandals movies since the late, well, I mean, if we're honest, they've been making them since silent film and then talking film, so the 1930s. So you have like The Adventures of Hercules, you have Clash of the Titans, you've got like the biblical swords and sandals movies, which were hugely popular with what was it, Cecil B. DeMille,
The NRA.
NRA. Charlton Heston. I'm getting there. Yeah, with Moses, or the Ten Commandments is the name of that movie. Yeah. So really, like, Hollywood has, at this point in the 80s, they have decades of material to pull from, and like,
so there's no excuse for Destroyer.
I'm just saying that like all of these things that are being put into a blender have been around for decades, and I'm sure like I don't doubt that Gary Gygax, when he was putting together D&D, was pulling from stuff that he'd seen as a kid.
So Hollywood was just phoning it in on
just
this one, is what we're...
Yeah, it felt like it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I like actually, sorry. I thought probably my favorite part of Destroyer were Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's guards that would ride through like directly after every scene.
Wait, in Destroyer?
Yeah,
Like calling Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Destroyer. Seen there?
What, wasn't that him?
That's Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh my gosh. Oh no, I've made a mistake.
Although you did say his name 3 times, so you should maybe not look behind you until.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking of Airplane then. He was in Airplane, right? Oh my God,
I don't know, Vincel. Was he? At this point, I can't take your word on it.
Well, that's embarrassing. Okay. Well, it's not as embarrassing as the time we confused Monty Hall. But
yeah.
Yeah, like the famous basketball player Wilt Chamberlain in this movie, like his personal guard that was falling behind to ambush Conan after they get the thing, the MacGuffin. Like after every scene, they would Conan and his party would just like ride off, and then they would do a cutaway of like 10 minutes later where the personal guard would just ride through the scene, and that's it. And
right.
Go to the next scene.
Well, it's this weird style of editing where, I mean, it's honestly heavily influenced by French New Wave, because you can just cut a bunch of shit together and it doesn't actually have to mesh. Like, none of the sound work is on, like, apparently you didn't have to make things sync up. Like, you could just dub sounds and dialogue over stuff, and, you know, whatever. If it matched, it was fine. But yeah, the editing in this was, like, super frenetic, super, like, French New Wave, where you just, like, the action scenes aren't action scenes like in Conan the Barbarian, like the 2011 Conan the Barbarian, where they're very like thought out and like well put together. They're just kind of like haphazard shots of like animals snarling and Conan like slashing at people, and like sometimes you see some direct action. Yeah, guys on horses
with nets.
With nets.
Hit him with the net.
So I feel like somebody should give us a summary of Conan the Destroyer and then Conan the Barbarian.
Okay, so Conan the Destroyer is the direct sequel to Conan the Barbarian, where Conan the Barbarian wants to resurrect his dead girlfriend that was killed by James Earl Jones in the first movie.
With a snake.
With a snake arrow. And then, so he gets enlisted to retrieve this MacGuffin from this wizard who's hanging out in a crystal castle by this queen who says she can revive the Valkyrie. What's her name?
Valeria.
Valeria. There we go. And so Conan gathers all of his mates from the first movie, and then a bandit woman who is apparently a singer. And then they go raid the wizard castle, and they go on D&D like adventures, and then they get the crystal, and then they fight a god, and then that's it.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
also, there's the curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, because
Oh yeah, the sudden but inevitable. Yeah, that happens. The queen. Spoilers. The queen betrays Conan. And Valeria never gets revived.
the people in all black who have the same guy playing their captain of the evil guard as was in the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just Thorgrim shows back up. Just,
Yeah. Oh yeah, the freaking cult that just showed up when they were getting the item that would let him summon what's his face.
Wasn't it Mako? Didn't they find Mako being roasted over a spit by the
Yeah,
cult?
they found Mako.
I think those were supposed to be Picts. Yeah, like P-I-C-T, the people that the Romans kind of hated.
Oh yeah, Picts they're actually in the Conan books a lot. I didn't recognize them because Destroyer's not very good, but they're kind of a perennial antagonist to Conan.
And thinly veiled racism. Well, they were the same guys we saw in Conan 2011 at the beginning.
Yes, and they actually looked like Picts in that one. Conan 2011 had a hell of an opener with those guys. Like everything else was kind of give or take, but that opener with them was really good, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the long and short of Conan the Destroyer. And Conan the Barbarian 2011 is kind of a younger Conan. It kind of tells his origin story, which may or may not be true. I don't actually know. But it's basically the plot to the first movie, where not Thulsa Doom. It's not Thulsa Doom this time. It's someone else. But someone comes in, raids Conan's village, and just kind of leaves him there. And then Conan goes off and becomes a barbarian pirate, and
Which some of the better Conan stories are when he's a pirate. Like that features pretty heavily in the short stories.
Some of my favorites.
yeah, but
I want to say I can throw out a synopsis of this one.
yeah, go for it. I'm floundering.
So young Conan, he's the manliest of the men, kills a bunch of people when he's like 11.
Oh,
and
that's
then,
I
right.
love that scene.
With the egg.
They should have just made the whole movie just little boy Conan being a badass motherfucker.
The Adventures of Little Conan murdering people.
Yeah,
The Adventures of Young Conan.
I'd watch that for 9 minutes.
And then Ron Perlman, his dad, gives him a talk about fire and ice and how like they redo the Riddle of Steel.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense, and I didn't like it very much. Like in the
I didn't
original
think
Conan,
the original Riddle of Steel made any sense.
No, it made perfect sense.
And it
It's
wasn't-
like
It wasn't at all a riddle. It was just like,
no,
yeah,
it
people.
wasn't a riddle, but it made sense.
Do you know how many what barbarian int scores are? Like that's you don't want to outpace your party with a riddle they're not going to crack in the game. Like
Yeah.
that uplifting message of the Riddle of Steel. It's me. But anyway, so then Not Thulsa Doom shows up and is trying to reunite this evil crown, which the beginning of the movie is back in the day, there was these evil people that had this evil artifact that was an evil crown. And now there's a guy who's trying to get them all back together with his creepy not Helena Bottom Carter daughter and kills Ron Perlman, his dad, and then there's a merry adventure of revenge, which I thought was going to star in Aziz Ansari briefly. Because Conan has his thief friend, right?
Right.
At some point, he calls in his favor with his thief friend, and he's about to start a fight in the City of Thieves, and you hear a guy go, "Stop, fools!" I'm like, oh, isn't Aziz Ansari in this? And then I was disappointed.
Yeah.
But
Who plays Conan's pirate friend?
Forrest Whitaker?
Was that Forrest Whitaker?
He looked like Forrest Whitaker.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
I will look up IMDb so that you're not all just saying like, "Hey, it's the only black actor we know."
We've already done it once. This podcast, we can't do it twice.
Conan the Barbarian.
My problem with this movie was that I had already seen it starring Ron Perlman 3 years earlier, and it was called Hellboy. Like, oh, there's this big crown that makes people, and he's collecting all the pieces, and then he's going to take over the world, and your father figure's dead. Oh.
Well, I think that just comes off like you spin the wheel on the MacGuffin Matron, and you get like 3 pieces of the crown spread amongst 3 areas.
Right.
It's just kind of one of...
El Generico is what it is.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the crown until you mentioned
probably butchering his name. Right. So the actor that you're referring to is, I'm probably butchering his name, but it's Nonso Ansoni.
Oh, I liked him.
Anotsi. Yeah.
He was cool.
Yeah, he was good. He's been in other movies like The Grey, Atonement, which is a really fantastic movie, and Ender's Game.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the Zoo short series that just happened. So
I will say this movie had a lot of what the first movie had, and Conan the Barbarian, of like, there's these other characters I'd like to know more about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm, definitely. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I think I would prefer to watch Conan the Barbarian versus Conan the Destroyer, 2011. If I was given the choice of all 3, I'd totally watch the first one again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I actually I did really like Jason Momoa as Conan.
I thought he was probably the best Conan. Like, he was a better Conan, but Arnold Schwarzenegger was just in a better movie. Mm-hmm. Because you actually see him in Game of Thrones as Khal Drogo, and he's basically how he should have been in that movie. He's really good in that.
But yeah, I really liked, definitely, especially during some of the fight scenes when like he gets like really intense and like he does the, come on. Mm-hmm. Like he's just taunting him and he's like doing all these sword tricks. It's like the only part that made those fight scenes kind of bearable. But
yeah, he felt more Conan than in Conan the Destroyer, because like Conan famously doesn't really give a shit about a lot of other people. That's what makes him a barbarian.
And he doesn't really give a shit about other people in this movie. Right.
Like he has goals. He wants to attain those goals. And he just kind of goes through people to get what he wants.
He's generally against slavery in this movie, but I think he was kind of doing it for like shits and giggles, getting paid and getting laid. Like that's his main motivation, other than vengeance.
He actually owned slaves in the short stories.
Yes, he was a king. He had concubines. He had sex slaves. In the books, he was kind of I want to say sociopath, but he was a barbarian.
He was a barbarian, yeah.
Yeah.
He's very rape, plunder, loot. So
it's kind of one of those things that like it's obnoxious that people inject. It's the mainstream argument against a lot of stuff in Game of Thrones is that it's like it's too misogynistic. It's too hating everybody.
Well,
basically,
it's a misogynistic time.
Well, yeah, it's medieval. Like it's things are not good here. There is no Bill of Rights. It's not a good place to live. Like that's not the point of these movies.
It's not okay. Everything's not okay.
But nobody would watch a movie entitled "Peasant Lives in Mud Hut for 20 Years and Then Dies of Dysentery."
Right.
After watching 4 of his 8 kids die.
Well, that's basically the premise of Oregon Trail. I mean, it makes a pretty good video game, but as a movie, I would say no.
This series isn't going to get renewed.
How can it? Everyone's dead. We just start over with the new family. We see if they get to Oregon.
Right. When the dad just skips town. It's a new town. It's a new season.
Yeah.
Have special guest cameos of the tombstones of the previous family members in the season 2.
Right.
Start letting the fans text in like names for people, and you can bet when your favorite one will die from what.
40 to
That's-
1 odds.
That's
Billy
just
dies from
every.
dysentery.
Always going to be dysentery. Every single one. They're just going to shit themselves to death. And you're just going to have entire episodes, like 60 minutes, of just people shitting and crying and then finally dying. It's like, is it over? And then, to be continued. One more episode of this.
Speaking of that, if you're ever on YouTube, you should look up the the brown watering.
What?
The brown watering. It's actually related to Game of Thrones. It's a passage from the last book in Game of Thrones, but you should check it out. It's called the brown watering. It's basically what Cody just described, but
And you too, audience members, should check this out.
But it's in the prose of George R.R. Martin.
Oh my god.
It's actually in the book, so check out the brown watering now on YouTube.
You can
Do it
pause
while
us.
you're eating dinner.
Yeah, go ahead and pause.
It sounds
Come back.
delicious.
We'll wait. You should totally do it while eating chocolate cake or tacos.
Why
Or
not
brown
both?
foods. Yeah. Why not? Ugh. Did anyone else did anyone else kind of think the bad guy in the 2011 Conan the Barbarian kind of looked like Will Ferrell in Zoolander? Or
Well,
like
you-
the bad
you-
guy from Wreck-It Ralph?
You know where you've seen him before, right?
Where have I've
Civil
seen,
War.
Where was he from? I couldn't put where he was, what he was in. I know I've seen him before. I just don't know where.
He was from James Cameron Blue Kitty movie. He was
He was in Avatar?
he was
Was he
was
the
an
bad
Avatar.
sergeant?
He was.
Oh my god!
He was my favorite character in that whole movie.
I honestly I liked both of the villains. I liked Rose McGowan and I liked him.
Yeah, she was really good.
I felt like they
were
could have.
super creepy.
Again,
Yes,
these
think
actors really deserved a better movie.
yes, they did.
He-
Not
He's
just
also
the
been,
actors, like the set designers, the costumers, like literally every person that worked on this film deserved a better
I
script.
feel like
Except the writer.
there's a really brilliant movie. Like if you could just edit this somehow and just like paste the fight scenes to where they make any fucking sense at all. It's not like the Born Identity fights on crack. If you could just, there's a good movie in here. You just have to like tease and torture it out.
I
Well,
I
that's
also
what,
liked when because there were some good parts, like when
Yeah.
Conan like finds the dude that like he cut his nose off like when he was a kid, and then
Yeah.
he shoots the other guy
Oh.
into the ship with a catapult. Like
I
those were
love
all
that scene.
really fun moments.
My favorite part was like when he found the guy and he like fed him the golden jewels and said, "But those people could need some." Oh no, it's the key. He found the key and like, "But you can free those people with this key." It's like, "I will free them, but they're going to have to get their own freedom." And
Like
they
that's the most Conan thing
Yeah.
that he did in that movie. Just
And-
kind of like suck it.
think they may have gotten that from an old Tales from the Crypt comic where a guy basically does that. It's
It was also in Saw. I mean,
oh right Saw. Man,
And then-
if Conan like kills people Saw style, but like with his bare hands instead of like traps, that's a Conan movie right
Like
there.
you finally
I
I
like
don't
they
think
crack
that's
the
like
puzzle
Saw
and open
style.
the
Like
door.
that's
what's up?
I
I was
mean,
gonna-
really ironic.
Yeah.
Like they crack the puzzle and open the door, and then it's just Jason Momoa is gonna punch you. Again. That was the puzzle.
Yeah. They go
it's
through
a
all this trouble.
barbarian puzzle. Arr. You can never solve them.
I mean, really, well, not really ironic, I guess. That's a bad analogy.
Yeah, but like, just really kind of I don't know, just kind of fucked up ways.
I mean, my favorite Conan story was one where this guy crucified him, and Conan got better, and he crucified him back.
Wait, didn't that happen in Conan the Destroyer?
It happened in Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yes.
crucify James Earl Jones back, but he did get better. But he got better through magic. Like,
Yes.
Conan fucking walked it off. A dude took a hatchet to the cross, got him down, and said, "Come on, get up. If you can't get on this horse, I'll just leave you in the desert." And so Conan got on the horse, And, like, 3 months later, he, like, broke the dude who saved him's arm and, like, kicked him out in the desert. And then he crucified the guy who crucified him.
Yeah, that's kind of always... Like, the problem with the Conan stories is that they all end the same way. It's usually in a sentence that says, and then Conan swung his sword and cut, like, insert monster here's head off. Like, and then that was it. And then Conan leaves, and then it's fine. It's all fine.
Yep.
Well, it usually implies also that he's going to have a lot of sex as a result of this, somehow, because he's Conan.
Right.
Well, one thing that kind of was I thought cool about Conan the Destroyer was kind of the ending scene where he's like sitting on the throne, and they're just like, "That's a story for another time."
And I really wish that like more of these films had gotten made, or like do a mini series. That would be great. Do that HBO.
Oh my god, Game of Thrones is over. What do we do?
Just use all the leftover sets from Game of Thrones.
You can use your imagination and watch Cole the Conqueror.
Ugh.
Also starring Kevin Sorbo.
Yes. Rumor on the internet has it that was supposed to be a Conan the Barbarian movie, but Arnold was busy, and they didn't want to move on without it.
It was Sci-Fi Channel, right?
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was Sci-Fi Channel.
Well, back to that though. I had heard from this interview of the screenwriter. He originally wanted Conan to be like this movie, like the James Bond movies, just going to keep on going forever, and they're just get different actors every single time.
Right. Which the writer of which film?
The first one, and I forgot his name, but he's a really big deal. He wrote and directed Wall Street.
I don't know.
JFK.
Those are movies I've heard of. Those are movies I've seen.
Natural Born Killers. He directed that one.
Oh, was that? Nope. Draw blank.
But
Wait for it.
Oliver Stone.
Oliver Stone. Yeah, he got his break writing the screenplay to the original Conan the Barbarian.
I would totally love to see
Cool.
like a James Bond style series of Conan the Barbarian movies.
That'd be perfect for it, I think.
sounds-
You know, just different actors embodying like different aspects of Conan. This is the murdery part. This is the hobo-y part. This guy's a little murder hobo-y.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he was the basis for half of the archetypes in the Age of Conan MMO. Like Conan the Reaver, Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Accountant.
Man, that MMO. God, I wanted to like that so bad.
Up until level 20 when the voice acting stopped and it just became a gang fest.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is where I should never level past.
Just keep making new characters. Then you never have to.
So,
Right.
how about that new Conan video game? It's going to be a crafting game.
Oh yeah, the one Minecraft with the Conan skin.
7 Days to Die
Yeah,
of Samaria.
Yeah.
Oh, I just Kickstarter backed the first sanctioned Conan the Barbarian role-playing game by
Yes, I have the beta of that.
Odysseus.
I really want to play that here in a while.
So I think it'll be good.
Yeah. We're not going
There's
to
lots
play it in
of-
a minute. I'm going to bed.
Well,
Yeah.
No, like not right now, but
Ah, crap.
But I feel like there's a lot of Conan material still out there, and I think it's a really rich world that deserves to be explored, really.
Yeah, and I think I feel like that's something I definitely got from watching these three movies, because I hadn't really, like, obviously I live with Cody, so I knew about Conan, but until I'd watched the original movie and these two, I didn't really, I think, have much of an appreciation for it. But yeah, definitely, like, even just from those three movies, I could tell there's like a lot going on there, and there's a lot that's just not being told, and or that was told, but it's in books and reading for squares.
Right.
And that's
Why
a
you watch
different
movies.
podcast.
Right.
honestly, I would recommend, even more than the short stories, the comics, Savage Sword of Conan and the Dark Horse ones. They're really, really good, and you know the way Conan works, you kind of need to see it. You see all the sword swings, you see the look on his face. It works really, really well, both of them. I kind of like the Dark Horse ones a little better, but they're both really good.
Nice. All right.
Didn't Conan like arm wrestle Cthulhu at one point?
He's fought some Lovecraftian monsters. He was actually friends with H.P. Lovecraft. They would write each other letters. And sometimes he would write Lovecraft a letter like, hey, this eldritch god seems really cool. Can Conan strangle him to death? And H.P. Lovecraft is like, sure, I guess, okay.
You're like, these are the two friends that are comparing the story they're reading. Like, well, my guy could totally beat up your guy.
Right, like in the first Conan movie.
My god could beat up your god. Yeah.
I could see that. Like, H.P. Lovecraft is like, this god, he's so powerful. He ruled over the dinosaurs and he's asleep. And, like, you have nightmares just when he's, like, having trouble sleeping. Every person in the world just has the same nightmares. And, like, Conan's, well, Conan, do you know how sexy this guy is? Like, I open every story talking about his chiseled abs and his bronzed physique and just how big and sexy his muscles are. Like, I think Conan could kick his ass.
Dude, Howard, no one wants to hear about your husband, though.
Seriously, though, the short stories, I love them, but they are the most homoerotic things I have ever read in my life. Like, each one starts...
Cody's an English major, guys.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Homer Rock stuff, but Conan really takes the cake.
Yeah.
The big fancy cake.
The big fancy ab cake.
Yeah.
With the male stripper inside.
The beef cake.
There's a cake and Jason Momoa jumps out in a loincloth. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
All right.
More barbarian riddles, apparently.
Yeah.
Right. So parting remarks for Conan?
Yeah, let's start. Go ahead, Cody.
You don't know how riddles work in Samaria. They could work in a totally different way. I'd say the first one is really, really good. It benefits just from being a good movie more than being a Conan movie. The second one, kind of garbage. I have a Blu-ray of Conan the Barbarian I got for $12. I saw a Blu-ray of Conan and Destroyer for like $6. I got the $10 one. But the remake, it's just boring. Like, you can't even get mad at it. It's just kind of disappointing.
Mm-hmm. I think I would say the first movie was super cool. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I liked the fight scenes. I liked Arnold Schwarzenegger. I loved James Earl Jones.
He's so good.
Conan the Destroyer, I wasn't really, probably because I'm not as high on, like, read up on the fandom as everyone else here. I didn't, like, hate it. I was super bored and kind of wanted it to be over, like, 10 minutes in, but it was just kind of meh. I would definitely say it's the weakest of the three. Conan the Barbarian 2011. There were parts I liked. Like I said, I liked all the actors. I liked all the sets. I just wish it had a better writer. And I think that's about it for me.
Justin?
Let's see. Again, like, you have to recommend the original Barbarian, just like for nostalgia's sake, but just if you're anything into nerds and swords, like Conan the Barbarian is where it starts. With the Destroyer, it's hard to say don't watch the movie, but like Conan the Destroyer is the kind of movie when you're hungover on a Saturday morning and like your kids are all like, I don't know, doing something, and you're like, I want the kids to be quiet and watch a crummy movie that will minorly have my attention while I nap on the couch and will introduce them to D&D miles down the road. Conan the Destroyer for when you're hungover. Don't do that with the 2011 Conan the Barbarian movie, or you'll have to explain some things to people. It really, like, the 2011 had that, like, this was neat. I will not watch it again, and probably go home if I'm at a party and someone says, hey, you guys want to watch the 2011 Conan the Barbarian movie? Yeah, just like this review, it kind of just petered out at the end, so go for it, Andrew.
Okay. So you know how, like, you've had really good pie before?
Yeah.
And then, like, even at the same Thanksgiving, like, there's really good pie, and then everybody eats that really good pie, and then all you have left over is mediocre pie, and you eat that mediocre pie because it's all you have. Like, that's kind of what Conan the Destroyer is. It's mediocre pie. If you watch it first before Conan the Barbarian, you'll probably be fine because you'd be like, oh, at least I didn't watch them in the order they were made, because then I'd be disappointed. Shit. I mean, nothing made sense. And then, like, you get done with a mediocre pie, and all that's left is, like, the meringue that nobody wants to eat. And then that's kind of Conan the Barbarian in 2011. Like, it's still pie, but, I mean, you know, it's okay, I guess.
The most basic pie.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have better metaphors next week.
This is better than no pie.
Yeah, it's better than no metaphors.
Yeah, so what should we do next week? What do you think?
We had made some suggestions.
Yeah, we talked about The Purge, right?
What is
Yeah,
Netflix?
well, we were talking about the Purge series, so we may have to wait a couple months for the third film to come out.
Yeah.
Or we could watch the first two in celebration of the third one coming out.
I could go see that live in theaters.
There's a movie on Netflix I want to see called He Didn't Die, starring none other than Henry Rollins of Black Flag fame, which I think is exactly what we would watch on this podcast. So I think we should totally check that out, especially because it would be brand new to all of us.
Are you sure it's called He Didn't Die?
Or He's Not Dead, something like that.
Yeah, but I don't. Are you looking at Netflix? Are you calling me out? Is that what's happening?
Maybe someone else look it up. I got to talk about some payment information with Netflix before anything else can happen.
I don't have Netflix is on my PS4, and my PS4 is on the other side of the room. I can't move.
You must launch an epic quest with Cody to retrieve the PlayStation 4 controller.
Yeah, I could just get Cody to do it.
Covered in those bejeweled thingies.
He never died. Immortal,
never died.
superhuman, full of dark secrets, and he's a cannibal. Don't mess with him, or you'll be today's lunch. I fucking hate whoever writes Netflix movie
They're
captions.
so terrible. Like I've seen stuff for like The Godfather, and it makes it sound like this like PG-13 mob comedy. It's just that writer needs to be fired.
A mobbity.
Mobbity.
Yeah, it's horrible. But I think we should watch He Never Died.
All right.
'Cause it looks pretty damn interesting.
He never died. Next time
On the B-roll,
B-roll.
cue the music we don't
I almost
have.
said 20th level commoners.
The B-roll is over.
B-roll.
We need music so bad.
We do.